Hebrews 4 continues the theme of chapter 3, that Jesus is able to give his people true rest. And in chapter 3, we saw Moses was unable to do that for his generation. And in chapter 4, we find that Joshua, although he was able to lead the people into the promised land and they occupied that land, he didn't give them the true spiritual rest. He was unable to do that. The rest that Joshua gave was partial. They never completely occupied the land. It was external and political. It wasn't inward, and it wasn't forever. They died, and that was their portion, their day. But what Jesus gives is eternal. And the writer to the Hebrews has picked up a quote from Psalm 95, which was written, of course, much later than the story of Moses and the Exodus and Joshua and the conquest. And there the writer says, today, if you hear his voice, don't harden your hearts. And it reminds us that there is this greater rest that Jesus gives, which is internal, which is spiritual, and which is eternal. It lasts forever. And we must make, paradoxically really, every effort to enter that rest. We're not looking just for a temporary blessing in life down here, for wealth and health and prosperity. We are looking for a spiritual union with the Lord that will last forever. The rest that Jesus gives is only found in the resurrection. In chapter 6, verse 4 and 5, the foundational doctrines include the resurrection of the dead. We believe that Jesus will give eternal rest to those who put their trust in him, and only to them. It is something that is unique. My peace I give to you, Jesus says. And therefore, we must continue to look to him. The word of God searches our hearts and it sifts us. It's sharper than any sword. It divides the inner motivations and the thoughts of our hearts. It searches. But what the word of God does is it penetrates into those recesses of our being and it applies promises of God. Lay hold of the promises of God and all will be well, for you will issue forth the faith and obedience that follow from a genuine encounter with God. Thank God then for the rest that we experience now, not a physical rest, not even an external day off a week, although we enjoy the fact that Sunday is still the opportunity for many of us to put aside our labours and to give our hearts and attention to the Lord in worship. But there is a deeper rest. There is a different rest that comes from the Lord and resides in our hearts. Let's make every effort to cultivate the peace and the joy and the rest that starts here but bears fruit for all eternity.